Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Memphis on the Mark. I'm Mark Jones, your hostess for the evening, and I'd like to welcome Lawrence Matthews.
How's it going, man?
Welcome, man. Glad you're here.
This is cool.
Yeah, you are an artist. Both you make movies and you paint. What do you?
Yeah, I do visual art, public art, filmmaking. I do music. I do curation. I try to do all of the things, all the creative things.
I saw an exhibit at the Civil Rights Museum.
Yeah.
You curated. And how did you get that gig?
So I got that through the collective. So we do like internal curation and then external. And so like I do curating on my own, like it's just as Lawrence Matthews, but I also do stuff with the collective as well.
And what is the collective?
So the collective is this Black arts nonprofit that like gives platform to Black artists and like tries to like give people opportunities and like professional and artistic development, education, and like just a bunch of different things to like advance Black artists in their careers professionally. And yeah, I don't know, that's what we do. And we try to do that through programming. So exhibitions, performances, basically any form of the arts, we try to like create programming for to like place artists within it and then let them excel at the level, you know, that they've been, but help them with that platform. And so that's kind of how that got going. So we have some of those external exhibitions.
All right.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that was a great show, exhibit.
Appreciate it.
And I've seen other exhibits. I guess you curated at the collective.
Yeah.
So I guess before the collective, there wasn't a lot of places for Black artists to show their work?
Not exclusively. So there has been spaces, right? There's always been spaces in the city, whether it be Memphis, like the Black Arts Alliance. There's been NIA. There's been like other collectives and groups of people, but I don't think anybody really has had like a home per se, one that they own too. Sure. And so like that's definitely a thing trying to make happen. And so for us, it was like we were always navigating these other spaces. Like so for me personally as an artist, before the collective got started, you know, I came out of college, was just trying to navigate the exhibition scene and the way that things are, and talking to this gallery owner and going to this museum and having your solo shows and just building up your resume and doing those things. And so a lot of times you are like a token or tokenized, or you're having to play a game and be a part of yourself instead of the full self. Because sometimes, a lot of times, this is South, this is Memphis, Black narratives are not always appreciated. So a lot of times you have to navigate these spaces giving a narrative of Blackness that makes the white people around you comfortable.
Sure.
And so when you start to dig into certain things and start critiquing certain things, it can get a little uncomfortable for them, and then opportunities may get scarce and different things happen, right?
White folk are the worst. Let me just tell you right now.
Hey.
So, the collective, you're in Orange Mound?
Yeah, we're in Orange Mound, located. So we have a space called the Complex. It's two galleries and like a shared art space and like a lab and all these different things where people can come. And so it's located in Orange Mound, right next door to Orange Mound Gallery. It's like 2234 Lamar Ave. There we go.
There you go.
I have to try to remember.
I call that a little like a triangle because you got it's no longer East Parkway, but it's Airways, and then you got Park and Lamar.
Yeah, it's right in that little triangle, little space. And so we found us a little home, and we're trying to.
Well, it's a big space.
Yeah, it is.
Multiple rooms.
It is a big space. And I didn't realize how big it was until I went back into an old space that I used to do shows at. And I used to get stressed out about packing that space out.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh no, like things are different. And so it's like you never kind of like have those moments at the same time. It was like, oh, we used to like stress about this.
Right.
And like now we stress about having to pack this thing out all the time.
Well, you've done it multiple times.
That's the crazy part. It's like, okay, we're doing a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, well, what about some of your other visual artists, like street art or arts that's public that someone's driving by?
So I've been getting into public art lately. I just got the biggest commission I've gotten so far from UAC, Urban Art Commission, to do this mural in Orange Mound. So it'll be at the community center at the gymnasium. And so that was the thing I got into from a friend, fellow artist, Vita Shell. He started kind of getting me hip to things, because like as artists, there's so many revenue streams, right? And so curation is one, selling work is one, but if you don't have a dealer or like a gallery, which I don't have, it can be kind of difficult.
Sure.
And you can do the independent thing, but that's like a lot of things, you stretch yourself kind of thin. And so I started talking to him about public art and like what that was like and like how that work lasts a lot longer than maybe some of the stuff you do in your studio because it influences and is something that people drive by and see constantly for years and years, may last longer than you. And so I was like, I like that. But then also the money that comes along with that is more sustainable. Like big giant checks on the front end versus like, as an artist, you have to build your resume and then you can sell your work for this much and then for that work. And then somebody has to put you in a museum and then you get to decide this price point.
So this is you're getting the money up front.
You get a lot of money, and so
to already pay for your supplies.
Yeah,
that you're not having to pay first, and then hopefully sell this painting.
Exactly. And so for me, as an independent artist, like completely, it was very like it seemed to be a better choice to get into that because, like you said, you're spending money on the front end to make the visual art that you don't know if it's going to sell or not. And so it'll happen. Like I've had shows where I spent a few thousand and not sold nothing. Until months and months later, maybe if that. So when you put that investment in it, but when you do the public art kind of situation, it's like, you get a commission. Hopefully people pay you right and do the right thing, and you get what you need. And that money pays for the fabrication of the thing, the supplies, but then also pays you as the artist. And so for me, I remember when I started learning kind of what this was, I started trying to get as many commissions as possible. And I haven't gotten like too many, but I've worked on like a few murals. And so to be able to get this one in Orange Mound where I'm already working, already doing a lot of stuff was like super perfect. And so, that's a big thing for me.
About how big do you think this will be?
So it's 3 parts. One part is 50 by 15, so 15 feet high.
And 50 feet wide.
Yeah, about 52 feet wide. And then the other sections are like 15 by 16.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So all of the murals that I've done before, they were like 8 or 9 by 30 or 16 by 8, like smaller kind of facade-based murals or things that went in the facades of buildings and stuff. So this is like, to me, this is like the first official, like, I'm getting paid exactly what I need to be paid to do this thing the right way type of mural.
Congratulations.
So, appreciate it, thank you. I'm ready to get it started. I'm supposed to start this summer, so I'm like,
good.
Let's go.
Good, so is there a completion date by
September, October.
Okay.
So I'm gonna work on it. I have to turn it into design. I set like a date for myself, like June 1st. It's like when it's supposed to be due. And so turn that in, hopefully a few weeks later, people are like, we like it. Then I can get to work.
There you go.
And spend my summer hiding from people and saying I'm busy.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. I can relate to being, I'm a filmmaker, and you are too. We're about to talk about that, but I had rented out a theater in Dallas, Texas, and to show one of my feature films and thinking, well, I'll make the money back by ticket sales. And 2 people came up.
Man.
And so I did not make the money back.
I feel
but
that.
You never know. I mean, that's just how the life of an artist is. You put your work out there, and we had advertised, and the theater had advertised.
Yeah.
And 2 people came.
It'd be like that. Like I feel that completely. Because it's like, even in that arena, like putting money from other things, like the music stuff that I do, it's like a lot of money from the art world fuels that stuff too. And so it's like, when you're doing the thing over here, hoping you get things going over here so you can then fund the other things that you love to do, the film, the music and stuff. And it's like, if it don't work, if 2 people come, it's like, and I've done stuff and like not even sold tickets. Like I did the screening for the last album's visual and I rented the theater for like $500 or something and it was free. And I just knew that I was taking that L because I wanted as many people to come as possible so they could download the damn album and listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Well, good. The one interesting thing about this theater in Dallas, it's where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested.
Interesting.
So that was kind of cool to go there. I mean, I had to buy a plane ticket and stay in a hotel and rent the theater, and I got
That's crazy.
$20 back from 2 tickets sold.
That's crazy.
But that's the life. So I got to, they sell T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have made 1 film, 1 doc.
Yes.
And you're working on a second one.
Yes.
Let's talk about, because I saw this documentary, The Other Side of Broad.
Other Side of Broad. Yeah.
It played in Memphis last year. All right, well, let's talk about that, because it was, some people said it was controversial. I thought it was great.
I appreciate it.
I really do.
All of that's so funny to me because it's so real. Like people, I think like people think we're conspiracy theorists and we just like talk a bunch of noise and we're like, oh, people are this, that. No, like people were very concerned.
Yeah.
And like we're calling and emailing people around me who worked on the film to get the film before I'd even finished it. Like I had to hold it like it was like the next Michael Jackson album or something. Like I just had to hold on to it and like until the last second because people were trying to get it from me.
They were trying to see it, or they
wanted, wanted to see it.
Like, they didn't want you to show it.
That thing was a lot of that too. So like it was like people trying to get ahead of the thing. People wanting to see it just so they could know what was going on. Because like I just put out the synopsis.
Right.
And people were like, oh, all of the, because developers run this city. And so like they're, yeah. And so they were very concerned.
I'm sure they were.
And you know, they were concerned.
All right, well, let's talk about the film.
Yeah, so The Other Side of Broad is a documentary about the Binghamton community, hence the title, Other Side of Broad, and the gentrification and the extension of Midtown into Binghamton, and what that's doing to the school system. And so a lot of, like, since I made the doc, a lot of things have changed. So like some of the stuff that was gonna happen is not gonna happen, but then the other parts are gonna happen, and that sucks too.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was talking about educational redlining, so removing students from an area, like areas, neighborhoods supposed to have schools, right?
Yeah.
And so that school had always been that community school. And so they arose a bunch of like the requirements and different things, and it was forcing kids out and sending them all over the city in ways where they couldn't necessarily get there. So then you have kids out in the street. Things happen when kids are out in the street. Don't matter what race you are, no matter how old you are. If you're a kid out in the street, you're gonna get into some stuff. And so people were getting into stuff, and like, you know, things were happening in the neighborhood. And then what we kind of noticed or felt like was happening was you move the kids to a school in Whitehaven, you move them to South Memphis, wherever, right? The parents then are forced to have to probably move because they can't, you know, if a parent doesn't have a car or whatever, or the bus doesn't come and get them. And that was another thing we talked about in the film, like transportation. There was one bus taking all of those kids to all of those different schools.
Right.
And like one of the women in the film was talking about like, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock and like her kid still isn't home because she's still on a bus. And so there was like these things happening. So like I interviewed all of these people in Binghamton over like a year period, and had spent more time before that researching and like just learning about what was going on. Because a kid told me like way in advance.
Right.
He was like, a thing is about to happen. People don't realize it's about to happen, but I'm a product of it. It's already happened to me, and it's gonna start happening to other kids. And so I tried to like start with him, but I didn't have any of the equipment, any of the things needed to really do it justice.
Okay.
So like I came back like 6 months later with a crew. It was a small crew, it was like 3 or 4 people. But like I came back with some people and we shot the rest of it and then, you know, worked on it. And so it hints at that stuff, it hints at the school system and what they are doing to those kids specifically from that community, and then like who their teachers are and who they're bringing in. They're people not from the community, they're firing people from the community, all these different things. But then it also hints at like the developers and the gentrification that's happening, the extension of Midtown, and how they're tricking people in the community to be a part of their own demise, basically by having them take surveys and different things. And so, yeah, people were a little tight about it.
Is there a place people can see this documentary?
Not yet.
Not yet.
And that is frustrating.
I understand that.
Yeah, I want to just put it out. So this is a weird thing, and it is probably me talking too much, but it is what it is, right?
Sure.
So a certain museum in the city wanted to purchase the documentary as like an art film thing, right? Yeah, and so I've been waiting on those people to pay me.
I see.
And they have not paid me. So I'm in this weird limbo where if I release it, I might not get paid, but I might not get paid anyway.
Right.
Because certain people don't want to buy the film, but certain people do want to buy the film. And so it's an interesting thing. And then it goes into rights and all of those things. And it's like, yeah.
Well, if I can add a little conspiracy to that.
Please. I love conspiracy.
Could the museum be buying it so they can bury it?
I heard that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what museum
Me
it
neither.
is, and I don't want to, I don't know, but that's how, you know, people buy.
How things work.
That's how it works. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Time has flown by.
Yeah.
And can we just maybe in a brief talk about your next film,
Yeah.
just as we close up?
Yeah, so the next film I'm working on is also probably gonna get me in some trouble.
Good.
It's called The Hub.
Okay.
So the slang name for the FedEx Hub system that people work in. It's a narrative documentary. It's following a kid who loses a job and is trying to he has all these problems in his world, as kids do and people do, and he's trying to navigate the city of Memphis to get a job for the following week, basically, because he has certain responsibilities and certain things he has to keep up. And so through that, it's a critique on those factory jobs, and there'll be interviews interwoven between, like in the film, about people who have worked factory jobs and their experiences and what happened, in good and bad. But there'll be that, and then the person is navigating through trying to, get transportation through the city, which has issues there. So
A lot of
issues there. So you see a lot of walking in the film.
Yeah,
There's a lot of walking, a lot of hitching rides with friends.
Any bird scooters?
There is a scene about those, but he doesn't get on one.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have a debit card.
Gotcha.
That's a thing. And so, there are those things, and you can't use them unless you have certain things that not everybody has. Right. If you're a poor person.
Well, just an example, I've seen some businesses going to credit cards simply to keep, so they say we no cash. Well, that keeps certain people out of their stores.
Keeps poor people out who don't have bank accounts.
Right.
And not everybody has bank accounts.
Not everybody has bank accounts.
And so my character doesn't have a bank account, so he can't ride these scooters and bikes. And so there's that. There's critiques on, obviously transportation. There's critiques on like the job systems itself and like living wages and different things and like making this money, but it not being enough to change your life or like make it so you can do anything that you need to do. And so that's what the film is about.
Wow.
And so we're working on that. We had to stop shooting because it got cold, and we had to come back because it's supposed to take place in the summer, hence it being very hot Memphis summer.
Yes.
But it's very, very Memphis. It's very black.
Good.
It's very it takes place in South Memphis too.
Good.
And so it's gonna be.
You film in South Memphis?
Yeah, it's all filmed in South Memphis. Yeah.
Do you think it might be ready for the Indie Memphis Film Festival, or is that pushing?
I would hope so.
Good.
I would hope so. I'm trying to finish it within a month.
Good.
Yeah, like top to bottom. Like I edited and got what I needed for the first half of the film.
So it's halfway finished.
It's halfway finished, and so I just got to do the rest and make sure it's everything it needs to do. So the interviews are left, and then the last part of his narrative is left, which is a pretty short part of his narrative because it only takes place Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a little short thing, and it's based on my life, where I grew up and just kind of how it'll be brief, but a lot of our parents made it out of certain situations, right? Like black kids, we were raised in the suburbs, but because we were raised in the suburbs and our parents were working so hard, they didn't necessarily get to kind of give us some of the game that was necessary to maybe advance further, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of us grew up in the area, but have some of the same skill sets and knowledge of our parents when they were in the projects or the hood or whatever, right?
Gotcha.
And so a lot of us, and then being in Memphis and different things, we are not equipped to enter the job force or enter college and different things. So we end up in the military, end up in these factories trying to make money. And so a lot of times we never leave that loop. And so a lot of friends, family, different people in my life have been stuck in that loop and have not been able to escape because they got to make the money, because they got to pay the rent,
Sure.
And so that character is a composite
Oh, wow.
a lot of different people. And so that's what that film is going to be
I
about.
can't wait to see it.
I hope I can finish it.
All right. So at this point, I'm going to do a little thing I call Moments with Mark.
Yes, sir.
So here we go.
Okay.
Today on A Moment with Mark, I'd like to talk about the Memphis airport and artwork. There is a huge parking garage right outside the airport, and I believe on both sides. I know on the side that faces the airport, it is just a white, almost a white wall. I think there are little holes in it, but the airport needs to commission a grand image, painting, photograph, something that is huge, visual art that can go on that large white blank parking garage. And I think there's one on the other side, large white, and it could go another one over there. But let's get some Memphis artists and who has one or two or a group that have a grand vision of authentic Memphis artwork, and let them paint a mural on the airport parking garage walls that face the airport, and if there's one on the other side that faces Memphis. So, Lawrence, thank you for coming out
problem,
today.
man. Thank you for having me.
You bet.